What's up, everyone, and welcome back to HBCU Game Day. I am Symone Stanley here in our Atlanta studios, and we just wrapped up a great 2023 HBCU baseball season. So we have a lot of success and accomplishments to get into, but we also have to talk about how we can push HBCU baseball forward. I am here joined by Vaughn Wilson, and Vaughn, we have a lot to get into today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Symone. Just enjoyed the baseball season this year. I'm known for playing football. My first year, I actually played baseball. I played it all through high school, and baseball is just a great sport, and it's good to see what seems like a resurgence in baseball among HBCUs.
Awesome. So just showing off, your two-way, two-sport abilities. I love it, Vaughn.
Not quite a prime time, but I did play.
So you just wrapped up a convo with the Black College Nines co-founder Michael Coker, and you guys dove into all things Black baseball and especially how we can grow moving forward, starting with the growth that we've seen in Black college pitching.
So the play on the field, and you take last night's national championship game.
What a game. What a series.
What a series. But the thing is because of the transfer portal, teams are getting better. HBCUs are tapping into that, and they're also starting to get heavy recruitment from high school, junior colleges, and kids wanting to move around. So now we're starting to see HBCU where we didn't get guys that were throwing 92, 93 before, we're getting them now. So the interest of HBCU baseball, because of Black College Nines, because of the Black College World Series, because of HBCU game day coverage, because of everything that's going on into the baseball, HBCU is growing.
Coker is just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to baseball. What was your reaction to that as you spoke to him?
I thought he was exactly right. What we've seen over the last several years, up until the last several years, the pecking order for the greatest baseball players coming out of high school was they would go to a big Division I school that supports baseball. Several of them would not choose to come to an HBCU. They would rather go the junior college route so that they can still make their pitch to either be recruited once again, or to go directly to pro after they're satisfied their 2 years. So what happens is there was a shift at some point, and I would attribute it to the HBCU baseball coaches being more savvy and showing the opportunities at their colleges to attracting more of these top-tier talent to the HBCUs.
And Coker spoke on how the arms are getting stronger in HBCU baseball, but he also mentioned how it's very top-heavy in the bullpen and how overall they need a larger group of diverse pitchers.
In 2017, when the Florida Gators won the national championship, they ended up beating Bethune-Cookman. And Bethune-Cookman pushed them and almost won that game.
Yes.
A bad play down the first baseline when the first baseman should have gone aggressively after the little pop-up instead of letting the runner run into him, being scared of the runner. If he had made that catch, they would have had a different ball game. Same thing this year. Florida A&M lost that game in April to they got blown out by Florida Gators, but they played them tougher. The problem was there were certain plays that Flam didn't make. If they made those plays, I do not think that the Gators would have been in that title game because they would have lost, and I thought they would have got eliminated in their own regional. But the thing is Flam kind of ran out of pitching in the end.
Yes.
And that's what kind of did it to them. But the bats hung tough, and their bats was just as equal as the Gators.
And Vaughn, you were covering your Rattlers baseball team all season long and for the past couple of seasons. What did you think about his assessment?
And let me start with the beginning of his statement. He went back to 2017 when Bethune-Cookman really was a hair close to upsetting that Gainesville Regional. They defeated the Gators in one of the rounds and put them in the losers bracket. They were both in the losers bracket, and they had beaten the other team. I think it might have been Marshall that was playing, but Bethune-Cookman won several of those games because they were able to match bat for bat with the Gators. Fast forward to this year, just about a month ago, earlier in the season, FAMU was blown out by the University of Florida playing them in Gainesville. When it came time for the NCAA regional after winning the SWAC, it was a totally different team. They had several injuries during the middle of the season, but everyone was back, and Coach Shupert said that this team is primed to make a run if we got everyone back healthy. And man, did those bats wake up. They woke up right before the SWAC championship, and they never cooled off. I mean, they were outslugged by the Gators and by UConn, but they were able to overcome their shortcomings with arms, with bats for most of the season. It's just when they came down to it, to the NCAA tournament, they were just short, maybe one or two more arms.
Coker also mentioned that the HBCU powerhouses, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, and Alabama State University, although they play a lot of tough competition before they get into conference play, he still believes that their overall strength of schedule could be holding them back a little bit when it's time to get to the postseason.
This is a concern of mine, and it regards those three programs, Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M, and Alabama State. I think that those programs are being hurt by the other teams in the conference because their RPIs are down, and they're scheduling and they're beating up on NAIA programs, and it's causing. And this is how you can get more than one team in the regionals.
Right.
It doesn't have to be just a conference champion, even though the SWAC is set up that way. If your team has a good RPI and you're winning and you're knocking off ranked teams, and you will get a chance to get an invite. And Alabama State, I thought, would have had that if the conference RPIs were higher, and they're constantly low. You take Texas Southern this year. Texas Southern was 7 games over 500. That's a good record. But Texas Southern, they scheduled 12 games against NAIA programs, and at the start of the season, they were 8-2. And on those games, they were 8-0 against NAIA programs. So that causes the RPI to drop way low. If we can get those teams to understand that you have a full D1 schedule and you start beating these ranked teams, whether they're ranked teams or teams with the power, with the RPIs, so then we can grow as to where, let's say FAMU wins that the SWAC conference tournament, but Alabama State has a higher RPI, then we have 2 teams going to the regionals.
Great points. Great points were made. What did you think about that?
No, I absolutely agree with Michael, Coker, and Black College Nines. Those guys, like I said, I can't overstate how much they know about baseball. They eat, breathe, and sleep it. That is something that is very detrimental for another reason as well. Obviously, the RPI is very important when you come down to it, because imagine if you could get 2 HBCUs in a regional, it almost guarantees you by the elimination of the other a better opportunity for the other HBCU to actually make a run at winning that regional. But with the balance that some of these schools are making, say Texas Southern, which you mentioned, they are probably facing, just like a lot of schools, Olympic sports are facing funding issues. So since they're short funded, they feel like they just have to win. And so they go schedule all these NAIA games and win those games. And so maybe even the fan base still accepts that, but it's actually hurting the overall advancement of the conference by doing that. Because yes, this year, if there was ever a time that the SWAC could get 2 teams in the tournament, it was this year, because Alabama State had an amazing year. I mean, a record wins and the sort, and they have been great, over the last several years. But A team like Florida A&M, they only had a chance, even though they played a tough schedule. They played University of Florida, Jacksonville University. I think they played Auburn. Very tough non-conference schedule, which helps their RPI. Even if they don't win those games, it's better to play tough with one of those high RPI teams and lose than it is to win a game against those NAIA schools and hurt your conference. So I think this is something that needs to be addressed. As we're talking about moving HBCU baseball forward, this is something that's almost a no-brainer.
I agree 1,000%. We talk about that all the time here on HBCU Game Day when it comes to football, but it still applies to other sports, especially baseball, where we're loaded with talent. But Vaughn, we talked about all the opportunities of growth that we have moving forward when it comes to Black college baseball, but we still have a lot to celebrate and acknowledge, a lot of wins, starting with the national champions. Albany State University winning the D2 national champions, and the Black College World Series crowning Florida Memorial University champions, an NAIA program represented.
Absolutely. Baseball, as in speaking to Michael, he just says he would argue that the smaller school baseball tournaments are even more exciting than the larger schools. Just because of the parallel in play and the excitement in play. So these small colleges have some great players, and they're playing some great baseball.
And you also wanted to acknowledge some guys who are going to be participating in some USA baseball showcases.
Yes, Southern University pitcher Nick Wilson has been invited to Team USA camp. That is a huge honor. It's a step forward, and it says that there are great arms in the HBCU ranks. But also to take note, not only are the players, but we have two coaches that will be involved with Team USA this year. Omar Johnson from Jackson State University, a great coach, very good coach, Omar Johnson. And then another great coach, Johnny Hernandez from Bethune-Cookman University, will also be assisting with Team USA. So these kind of experiences, the coaches get better experiences, the players get better experiences, just like the Black College World Series and Gar Lucas Classic. These are opportunities for HBCU athletes to be in the environment. And once you're exposed to the environment, you're not afraid of it anymore. And so we're just excited that HBCU baseball is on the rise, because we know that there's an extreme shortage of good Black baseball players playing in the major leagues. And it starts with the talent developing below the major league level. So we are hoping that these kinds of actions will elevate the play of those players, and we'll begin to see some more Black players in Major League Baseball.
And the MLB draft is coming up July 9th, and we had 3 Black college baseball stars be invited and able to participate in the MLB Combine, which is an extreme honor. We had Highland Hall, who is an outfielder out of Bethune-Cookman University, Trey Page, who is an infielder from Delaware State University, and Xavier Meacham, a pitcher from North Carolina A&T, who has a really good fastball clocking 90 plus. So we're excited for those guys. Last year in the MLB draft, we had 2 HBCU guys drafted, and we have to get those numbers up, Vaughn.
Yeah, we absolutely have to. Just from my personal experience, I was able to see Hal McRae play at FAMU. I was able to see Andre Dawson play. I was able to see Vince Coleman and Marquise Grissom. These are all people who were all-stars coming right from Black colleges.
And a Hall of Famer, Andre Dawson.
And Andre Dawson's a Hall of Famer. So these are not just run-of-the-mill Major League Baseball players. All of them were all-stars. So some of the greatest players in the league used to be from Black colleges. I think we're taking a step in the direction to at least increasing the number of HBCU players that are able to make a professional career.
And it's good to see a pitcher in Xavier Meacham get that honor to go to the MLB Combine, because we know getting Black representation on the mound is something that's extremely important. So for him to get that honor, that is huge. And also not just having the SWAC being represented, being represented, but A&T as well in the MEAC with Delaware State University.
Yes, absolutely. We don't want to discount the MEAC, North Carolina A&T, and even our independent schools. We're just really, HBCUs have a great tradition of baseball. You know, we're talking, like I said, I mean, just a short list example, Andre Dawson. This guy was a league MVP in the National League in 1985 on the last place team, the Chicago Cubs. That's how great a player he was. So that's the kind of excellence we wish to return from the HBCU ranks. And I just feel the culture right now is moving to the direction of us getting better players to present to the major leagues.
Of course. So we're going to stay tuned and watch out for the MLB draft. July 9th, like I said, of course, we are going to keep all you guys updated here on HBCU Game Day. He is Vaughn Wilson. I am Symone Stanley. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.